In Resident Evil Village, screenshots revealed the backstory behind this adventure has something to do with 4 families. Each one seems to have their own origin, boss, and mythology, but not much else is known. So in this video, we'll take a deep dive into clues about the 4 families, see how witches, vampires, and werewolves might be involved, and try to uncover all that we can about these families in our latest RE Theory breakdown. Before we look at the 4 families, we have to look at a symbol that seems to connect them all. For Resident Evil fans, this is very recognizable because it's the umbrella logo. Or is it? Looking at the age of the etching, the old style of the map, and the demo taking place in the 50s, we think that this is not the umbrella logo, but a shape that eventually inspired the umbrella logo. So, were Spencer and company inspired by the 4 families, or were they directly connected? If they are, we might find out some more lore and backstory on Umbrella in Resident Evil Village. And how are the 4 families connected to each other? Are they all related? Who is in charge? Umbrella? Mother Miranda?
Mother Miranda.
And Capcom is really trying to connect this to RE7, so maybe the group called The Connection? Another thing that may connect the families and definitely connects the game to RE7 is this symbol, which is a fetus and has something to do with some kind of sacrifice or something like that, and we'll find out how that works when we play the game. At this point, we want to preface our further discussion with the fact that we do not think that any vampires or werewolves or witches exist, but we will talk like they do because the game was inspired by them and because Ethan probably thinks they are involved. The RE Village producer confirmed that everything falls within RE lore, so with all the fairy tale horror, it probably connects to a virus or a mold or a BOW or something classic Resident Evil. Okay. Now let's get into the 4 families. The one family we know the most about is the Dimitrescu family. The Romanian origin, the vampire lore, the big castle, the Romanian currency, it all points to Transylvania, which is a real place in Romania, and a Dracula-like inspiration. There are a lot of clues that Lady D and her 3 daughters are vampires. From blood being all over the place in the demo, to notes in the demo, to never getting older, to lots of biting and blood from Lady D's daughters.
Man blood.
To Lady D sucking blood herself. They are even a wine-creating family, but it seems to be a cover to smuggle blood. Unfortunately, earlier this year, one of the models that played one of Lady D's daughters died, and Capcom's remembrance tweet mentioned that she was one of the witches. The head tattoos and the wardrobe also points to witches. So are they witches or vampires? And what about Lady D? Unlike a traditional vampire, she has a reflection, she doesn't seem to have fangs, she hangs out outside in the daylight. Sure, this could be a different style of vampire, or Capcom could be hiding things or messed up in the demo, but she does suck blood. I'm pretty confused, and then at the end of the demo, she sprouts metal claws, and now I'm even more confused. A lot of people think she might be a tyrant. Claws, silver look, 9 feet tall, but if the demo is real, she looked that way in the 1950s, which predates tyrants by years. So, what if Lady D inspired the tyrant in some way, either biologically or aesthetically? Looking at the map, we see in this area there's a big gargoyle flying around, and we've seen screenshots of creatures like this, so we're not sure if that might be a sub-boss or just a new creature we see in that area. And I think it's pretty safe to say that at some point, those witches and Lady D might be bigger bosses themselves. The Dimitrescu Family seal, it looks like a flower with a couple of swords stuck in it. It has a little bit of a Spencer family vibe, but we're not sure the symbolism on this one compared to the other families, and that's who we'll talk about right now.
I am the one who knocks.
No, it's not the one who knocks. It's House Heisenberg, probably named after German physicist Werner Heisenberg, who was working on Germany's attempt at creating an atomic bomb. It's no wonder the level here is a factory. You have to wonder, will it involve robotic enemies, bombs, or mechanical traps? The map shows a big horse, which matches up with the family crest, so maybe that will be the boss. The horse on the crest symbolizes power and war, which seems to fit this level well. However, we also have to talk about werewolves at this point. We've seen wolf-like zombies in the village, but we've also seen this huge beast man. It would fit in German folklore to have werewolves with this house. Upon further inspection of his clothes and his weapon, it looks like the werewolf beast might be this man, and it would be quite interesting if he could transform to and from BOW stages. And after Lady D mentions these few things in the trailer,
Ethan Winters has escaped that fool Heisenberg. You escaped my little brother's idiot games, did you?
it makes a lot of people believe the man is Heisenberg, and that it's also Lady D's brother. But why would she call her brother Heisenberg? Maybe it's a stepbrother, or she married into the Dimitrescus. Or maybe the four families are actually one family that's split into four houses? This is getting Game of Thrones confusing. This would be a good point to leave your thoughts in the comments section and to click like and subscribe while we talk about the other three families. House Beneviento is an Italian family, and the name comes from the European legend of the witches of Beneviento. In this legend, witches would roam around a small Italian town, causing horror and mischief. So is this legend just an inspiration on the name, or are there witches about in village? If we take a look at the map, it is blurry, but it looks like a big wooden-looking thing, possibly made out of trees, as a warning to trespassers. Looks kind of like death, maybe a witch or created by witches. Is that the boss of the area? Maybe we fight this at the waterfall? And is this house we see throughout the trailer House Beneviento? Are those things in the yard there to scare off witches? The family crest of the sun and the moon could symbolize good and evil, but witches are also all about the sun and moon and cycles, so it could just be another Wiccan connection. We've also seen this character roaming around in the trailers, and while it looks like a fortune teller, she could possibly be thought to be a witch. And as we just saw, Lady D's daughters might be witches as well. If the map has clues to the bosses, maybe this thing comes to life or is a real creature that attacks us. If you are a fan of horror or bad movies, you have probably heard of The Island of Dr. Moreau. This H.G. Wells book is about a mad scientist who combines humans and animals to form horrifying creatures, and seems to be the inspiration behind the name of this family. The Crest of Moreau features a mermaid, which is interesting because it's also a half human, half animal. Could we be seeing a crazy type of hybrid beast here? As we saw in Cabin in the Woods, mermaids can also be evil. Do you think we would see some kind of mermaid enemy? If you look at the map, you see this French family has a reservoir, and it may not be a water level, but maybe like the Resident Evil 4 lake with the enemies we just discussed. And is that giant creature in the water the boss? Aside from enemies, the mermaid has a lot of symbolism, including protection from evil. However, mermaids are also harbingers of storm and destruction, and that might better suit House Moreau. So that is all the info and theory we could scrounge up from the limited things Capcom has shown us. We're excited to see how the four houses connect to each other, to Mother Miranda, to Resident Evil 7, to other RE groups, and of course, to Umbrella. If you enjoyed this video, it was a long one, but be sure to leave a comment, click on like, and if you want more videos like this, hit subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait for Village!